Have you ever felt the chill of fear creeping up your spine even when you're all alone in a room? Imagine, if you will, the unsettling sensation of unseen terrors. Entities that elude the eye, yet their presence is as real as the air you breathe. They are not physically present, but their invisible existence is enough to incite a fear that clings to your skin like a second layer. You're seated in a room, a space where you should feel the most secure. Yet there's an unexplainable cold spot that lingers in the corner, a chill that's out of place. It's not the air conditioning or a drafty window. It's something more, something that doesn't belong. Perhaps you've felt it too, the inexplicable sensation of being watched. Your skin prickles with unease, your heart pounds in your chest, and you can't shake the feeling that there's something or someone observing you. It's an unseen presence that's as palpable as it is invisible. Let me share with you a brief anecdote. There was once an individual much like yourself who experienced this phenomenon. In the solitude of their home, they too felt the chilling grip of unseen terror. The sensation was so strong, so undeniable, that it turned their sanctuary into a place of unease. Despite no physical evidence of an intruder, they could not deny the fear that consumed them. It's a fear that's difficult to explain, a dread that's impossible to quantify. It's the fear of the unknown, the fear of what lurks in the shadows of our perception. It's a fear that's as old as humanity itself, a primal instinct that warns us of danger, even when we can't see it. But what if I told you this was only the beginning of their horrifying experience? Imagine being all alone at home, and suddenly you hear a whisper in the dark. A moment of silence, then a soft rustle, a murmur that seems to come from nowhere. It's not the wind. It's not the creaking of the house settling. It's a voice in the dark. This is the chilling scenario we delve into today. Our story revolves around a person who, one fateful night, started hearing whispers in the dark. Picture this. The night was as black as pitch, the moon hidden behind a veil of iron-gray clouds. The house, a solitary sentinel amidst the sprawling darkness, was the only refuge from the eerie quiet of the desolate night. Suddenly, a whisper. The voice, barely audible, was as cold as the biting winter wind. It was a voice that did not belong, a voice that had no place in the stillness of the night. Our protagonist, startled, looked around, but there was no one. The house was empty, save for the darkness and the whispers. The whispers were incomprehensible, a low hum of words that seemed to echo from the very walls. It was like a conversation being held just out of earshot, a dialogue that was meant to be heard, yet remained elusive. The whispers seemed to be everywhere, yet came from nowhere. The echoes bounced off the walls, creating an orchestra of hushed tones that filled the silent house. With each passing moment, the whispers grew more persistent. They seemed to be closing in, the words becoming clearer, yet the source remained a mystery. The whispers were not just sounds anymore, they had taken on a life of their own. They were a presence, a palpable entity that lurked in the shadows, unseen yet felt. Imagine the cold grip of fear, the goosebumps, the racing heart. Imagine the feeling of being watched, of being not alone in your own home. The whispers were not just voices, they were invasions. Intrusions into the sanctity of solitude. The whispers grew louder, closer, but the source remained unseen. An unseen terror, a whisper in the dark, a story that sends shivers down the spine. Our protagonist was no longer alone in the house, they were accompanied by whispers in the dark. Ever noticed a shadow that shouldn't be there, a strange dark shape lurking just at the edge of your vision, defying the natural laws of light and space? It's an unnerving occurrence, isn't it? But let's dive deeper into this eerie phenomenon through the story of an individual who started noticing such shadows. Meet John. He lived a life as ordinary as the next person until the day he saw the first shadow. It was a day like any other. Sun was shining, birds were singing, and then there it was. A shadow, not his own, not belonging to anything around. It shouldn't have been there, but it was, silently lurking. Days turned into weeks, and the shadow remained, a constant in John's life. It was always there in the corner of his eye, an uninvited guest, an enigma. Yet it was passive, a silent observer. It was unsettling, yes, but John learned to live with it, attributing it to tricks played by his mind. But then, things started to change. The shadow began to grow, it started to take form. It was no longer just a shapeless blot of darkness. It became something more, something tangible. It was as if it was feeding off John's fear, growing stronger, bolder. And then, the unthinkable happened. The shadow moved. It was no longer just a passive observer, it was active, alive. It shifted, twisted, contorted, like a creature from the darkest depths of nightmares. It was no longer confined to the corners of John's vision. It was everywhere, surrounding him, engulfing him. John was trapped, caught in the insidious grasp of the shadow. His life, as he knew it, was over. He was now in the domain of the shadow, a world where the lines between reality and nightmares blurred. And then one day the shadow moved. What would you do if objects around you started moving on their own? Imagine you're at home alone, and suddenly the room grows cold. You feel a chill creeping up your spine, and then you see it. A cup sliding across the table, all by itself. There's no breeze, no pets, no logical explanation. You might think it's just your mind playing tricks on you, but then it happens again. A chair shifts position. A book falls off a shelf. A door creaks open. Each incident is subtle, yet undeniably eerie, enough to make your heart pound and your palms sweat. This is not a scene from a horror movie, but a real-life experience shared by countless people across the world. Stories of unexplained events, of objects moving on their own, are as old as time itself. These tales traverse cultures and continents, whispered in hushed tones, often dismissed as folklore, yet persisting in the collective consciousness. But what if it's not just stories? What if these unexplained events are real? Paranormal investigators and researchers have dedicated their lives to exploring these phenomena, documenting cases and gathering evidence. Some attribute these occurrences to ghosts or spirits trying to communicate with the living. Others suggest that it could be the manifestation of powerful psychic energy. One such story is of a family in the Midwest who reported their home was plagued by such occurrences. Toys would move on their own, doors would slam shut, and lights would flicker without reason. They lived in fear, each day filled with dread of the next unexplained event. However, the most striking part of their account was not the moving objects, but the feeling that accompanied these incidents. They described an oppressive, dark energy that seemed to permeate the house, a presence that was almost tangible. It was as if the very air they breathed was heavy with foreboding. As chilling as these tales are, they also ignite a spark of curiosity. A part of us yearns to understand the unknown, to delve into the mysteries of our existence. Are these unexplained events mere figments of our imagination, or are they proof of something beyond our comprehension? But the scariest part was yet to come. What if you discovered that you were not alone? A question that sends chills down the spine, doesn't it? Now imagine a man just like you and me, living his mundane life in a seemingly ordinary house. But as we've seen, nothing about this house is ordinary. This man starts to notice peculiar things around him, objects moving on their own, strange sounds echoing through the stillness of the night, and shadows that dance in the corners of his vision. He brushes these off as mere illusions, tricks played by the mind. But as the days pass, these occurrences become more frequent, more evident. One fateful night, the man finds himself wide awake, unable to shake off an unsettling feeling. He decides to investigate, to confront these unseen forces that have been disrupting his peace. He roams the dark corridors of his house, the silence only broken by his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. Suddenly he stumbles upon a horrifying revelation, the existence of a paranormal entity in his own home. The realization hits him like a ton of bricks, washing over him with a wave of bone-chilling fear. He is not alone. He has never been alone. An unseen presence has been sharing his living space, watching his every move, feeding off his fear. The suspense reaches its peak, the air so thick you could slice it with a knife. The man stands frozen in place, his eyes wide with terror. It's one thing to suspect, to speculate, but to have your worst fears confirmed, that's an entirely different level of horror. The entity, however, doesn't seem hostile. It doesn't attack or harm the man. Instead, it appears to be trying to communicate. It has a message from the world beyond, from the realm of the unseen, from the depths of the unknown. But the entity had a message that will forever change the man's life, and ours as well. Would you dare to listen to a message from beyond? In the heart of the night, when every mortal sound was hushed, the individual, let's call them Alex, was roused from a restless sleep. A spectral voice echoed in their ears, a whisper that seemed to permeate the very fabric of the room. It was an ethereal sound, a chilling, otherworldly voice that held them captive in their bed. The voice, it was not malicious or malevolent, but a sorrowful lament that seemed to resonate from a place of profound despair. Each word it uttered was like a ghostly chill, a cold breath that sent shivers down Alex's spine. The voice spoke of lost time, of regrets and missed opportunities, of love unrequited and dreams unfulfilled. It was a lament for a life lived in shadows, a life cloaked in fear and doubt. The voice spoke of the futility of living in the past, of the importance of embracing the present and the uncertainty of the future. It spoke of the fleeting nature of human existence and the impermanence of everything we hold dear. It was a stark reminder of our own mortality, a sobering reflection on the transient nature of life. As the spectral voice continued its mournful soliloquy, Alex felt an overwhelming sense of dread. The voice was not just a messenger from beyond, it was a mirror, reflecting their deepest fears and insecurities. It was a chilling reminder of their own past mistakes, their own regrets and unfulfilled dreams. But as the voice continued to speak, Alex began to sense a change. The cold dread that had once filled their heart was slowly replaced by a strange sense of calm. They began to understand the true nature of the message, the true purpose of this spectral visitation. It was not a warning or a premonition, but a call to action, a call to live their life to the fullest, to embrace their fears and doubts and to seize the day. The message, however, was not what they expected. What if the message left more questions than answers? The individual, once a mere observer, now finds themselves at the heart of this eerie tale. Their life, once ordinary, has become a labyrinth of fear, curiosity, and a mystery that seems to stretch its menacing tendrils further with each passing day. In the aftermath of the message, their world was turned upside down. Each day, the sun would rise, casting an eerie glow on their once familiar surroundings, and the individual would find themselves lost in a maze of unanswered questions. The message, a cryptic whisper from an unknown entity, echoed in their mind, a relentless reminder of the enigma they were now entangled in. Their attempts to decipher the message were met with dead ends. They pored over old manuscripts, sifted through dusty tomes, and consulted with scholars of the arcane. Yet, the message remained as enigmatic as ever. The words, seemingly random, held no discernible pattern, no recognizable language. It was as if the entity was communicating in a code only it could understand. Their fear was palpable, a chilling presence that never left their side. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves in the wind sent their heart racing. The once comforting darkness of night now held unseen terrors, shadows that seemed to dance and whisper secrets that were just beyond their grasp. Yet, amidst the fear, curiosity burned bright. What was the entity trying to convey? Was it a warning, a prophecy, or simply a trickster causing mischief? These questions gnawed at them, driving them further down the rabbit hole. The individual was no longer a passive observer. They had become an active participant in this chilling narrative, their life intertwined with the mystery. Every waking moment was consumed by the enigma, the message, a constant whisper in their ear. It was a haunting melody that never ceased, a relentless drumbeat that echoed in the hollows of their mind. The mystery, however, remained unresolved. The individual was left with more questions than answers, their life a living testament to the entity's enigmatic message. Each day, they would wake up, hoping that the answer would reveal itself. Yet each night they would go to bed, the mystery still looming over them like an ominous cloud. And as the whispers faded, they were left with an enigma that still haunts them to this day. But what was the entity trying to convey? As we end this tale, we are left with a chilling reminder of the unseen terrors that lurk in the shadows, the whispers in the dark that hold secrets waiting to be unraveled. Until next time, when we delve deeper into these unseen terrors.